Hey guys, we're here, episode 20, the Dirty Right Rear Podcast. Myself, Jeremy Booyer, Jeremy Sutton. This week, we got the Gross family racing, Haleigh and Gary, and we're going to talk about their plans for the season, kind of what they got going on. Haleigh has a lot of stuff going on with podcasts, businesses, work stuff, and everything. We're going to get to all that. We'll be right back after this commercial. Hey guys, Jeremy Booyer, Jeremy Sutton here, the Dirty Right Rear Podcast, and also Chad Winch of the Barn. We got to thank our new big sponsor that we just picked up, Double D Motorsports. Double D Motorsports in Farmington specializes in all types of race car parts, from new and used, even full rollers and race-ready cars. Katie and Daryl are notorious for making full buyouts and buying a lot of people's stuff out. You never know what they will have over there at Double D. Check back every week to see what kind of new stuff they have arriving. Plus, get your weekly items for your racing, such as oils, lubes, tear-offs, seat belts, fuel jugs, all kind of miscellaneous items. You can go to Double D Motorsports Mondays and Thursdays, 10 to 6, Tuesdays and Wednesdays, 10 to 3, or you can call them, see if they'll meet you over there, 573-747-7816. Their address is 2882 Highway 67, Farmington, Missouri. It's just south of Farmington. Go over to Double D Motorsports and get all your racing needs.
Turner Services, they are located in St. Louis. They specialize in concrete flat work, asphalt paving and repair. They haul rock and dirt. They do bobcat and excavator work, retaining walls, draining issues, concrete tear outs, and snow plowing. Need something else done that's not listed? Give Cody a call at 314-397-2890, and he may just do what you need. All right, welcome back, guys. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Yeah. How's racing been going for the 2025 season for you guys?
I think we started off a little bit on the struggle bus. We're getting the cars more lined out and trying to get them to go forward.
Well, I guess that's better. I guess you want to start off strong and stay strong, but you can only go forward from here, right?
Yeah, we set the expectations where we can go forward and climb.
Yeah. Where have you been running?
We ran at Peevely last night, and then Dad has ran.
I've ran at Old Number 1, Highland, and Peevely.
Old Number 1, that looks like a fun track.
It's really neat. It takes you back to the way racing kind of was back before, the modern racing. A little more old school.
How far of a trip is that from here?
About 2 hours and 45 minutes.
That ain't bad. And then, let's talk about Peevely last night. How'd that go for you guys?
We sucked. I sucked last night. I struggled all night long, and I threw the kitchen sink at it 4 times and never got water. So
The heat race for me wasn't terrible. Last weekend, not this past weekend, but last weekend at Brownstown, I could not get the car to turn. I just wanted to run it straight on into the wall, if I'm going to be completely honest, because it was just that tight. A lot of it was driver too, just not being comfortable, but then we got it in hot laps turning a little too good at Peevely last night, so we tightened it up for the heat race, and it was considerable, but the track was just a different animal last night. I think that really kind of threw a wrench in both of our cars. We weren't ready for it.
What did the track do last night up there?
It was dry slick all night.
Really?
It was slick and smooth, but it wasn't like it didn't take up rubber or nothing.
Mm-mm.
Well, those are, I know modified guys, they like those tracks, don't you?
We do like the tracks. We were just used to it being a little bit more tacky or heavy.
Right. Now I know, Haleigh, you don't have a whole lot of nights in an A mod, do you? I know most of your racing's been B mod, right?
I ran a B mod for one season at Farmington mostly. That was, I think I went to Poplar Bluff twice. And then after that, they jumped me into the A mod the next season. And then I kind of took a couple years off, and then now I'm back in a car.
Welcome back. Let's talk about the, growing up, how you got into racing. We'll ask Gary the same question. So whichever one of you wants to go first, tell us how you got into racing.
You want to go first?
Yeah, sure. I always have been into it since I was very young. My dad raced a couple times. My older brother, Haleigh Gross, he always raced. Yep. And I helped him, so we've been at the racetrack. I've been at the racetrack most of my young life. And that's pretty much how it is. Once it's in your blood, it's in your blood, and our whole family races, so we enjoy it.
Right. I know before you started racing, I used to see you in the pits working on your brother's car and other cars as well, and I was like, it's about time Gary got a car. So
once you get in it, too, it's just, I've tried to get out of it like 5 times, and it just comes back, and then I got hurt, so I had to definitely get away from it. Well, then now I buy cars. So you can't get away from it once you try. It's so hard to get away from racing. I don't know why it's so addicting.
I guess it's better than doing drugs.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It is.
And these modifieds now are so technical, and I understand them like fully and maybe too much because I can help her out and I can adjust myself out of the ballpark.
He can see what I need before I tell him.
I think every guest we've had for a modified, we've talked about that. And like when we were talking to Kenny, and he's like, this is crazy. He goes, I've never had to like call so many people or have so much notebooks or this or that on a modified. He goes, you used to just be able to do anything. He said, now if you don't have help, well, and Griffall was the other one. He said, if you don't have help, you're done in that aspect.
It's wild how much the modified game has changed. Like you said, everybody we've had on's talked about it, and then to hear Gary say it as well, and to see some of your guys' posts on Gary liking to overthink it sometimes and make too many adjustments.
Well, you can really think you're off when you're really not that far off, and then you can be real far off. It's very easy to do.
So in the modified game, is it do you do small changes or do you throw the sink at it most nights?
Well, I haven't been close enough to do small changes other than one night, and I had a good car at Highland, and I got it I went out of the park with it, and I've been chasing it since Highland. I started chasing it early last night, and I couldn't catch it, so we're gonna fix it this week, though.
So what's the plan for this week to bring that around to your style?
I'm gonna go back to Peevely and run top 5.
There we go.
Going for redemption.
There we go. Yeah. So let's talk, Haleigh. Talk about how you got into racing.
He kind of touched on it a little bit. Probably from 5 years old is the first memory I have of being in Eddie's shop. Eddie raced modifieds back then, so I remember the first thing is they were teaching me how to groove up a tire, and I liked picking the pieces of rubber out.
Yeah.
After that, we kind of just went and watched, and then Tim started racing when I was a little bit older. Then Dad started racing seven seasons ago. This is your 7th season?
Late 2017 was like 6 nights, and I started racing full time in 18.
Okay, so about 8th season, I guess, is this season. He started racing, and then about 4-ish years into him racing, I tried to knock their door down and get me in a car. They weren't having it too awful much. I was still in sports and still in school. I remember I would text Mom throughout the day and send her race car raps. I didn't even have a car at that point, and she got so annoyed by it. She's like, "You're not getting a race car," and eventually I ended up getting one.
Yeah, she didn't win that argument, huh?
No.
I did listen to your podcast when you guys talked about that, so I thought that was pretty cool. Was it your senior year that you got into a race car?
It was right after my senior year. Yes. I was 17.
And now, they started Kinley off much younger, so she didn't have it nearly as rough as you did.
No, I jumped straight into a modified. I didn't drive a go-kart. Yard carts, things like that, but nothing in a circle, nothing on a racetrack. So, right. Yeah, Kinley's got an advantage.
How do you think, do you think that hurt you in a way? Like, do you wish, looking back now, I wish I could have started in a go-kart or, something different? Or are you glad you started in a modified?
I think I'm ultimately glad that I started in a modified, just because I feel like it challenges me as a person more. But there are times when I wish I would have raced something else previous to a modified, just because I feel like I could have gotten some driver kinks out of the way.
Right. Yeah. It's tough. I've obviously never drove a modified, but I've always heard they're the hardest cars to drive. And that's got to be tough going against, guys have done it their whole life, and then you jump in as a teenager and try to race. So a lot of learning.
When they're off, they're hard to drive. When they're not hard to drive.
Interesting.
Yeah, they're actually kind of easy to drive if everything's working right and you don't mess it up.
Well, at least jumping straight into the modified, you ain't going to be like, this is the hardest thing to drive, because you won't know.
Yeah.
You don't know.
Yeah, I was like, oh, okay, this is what I got to do.
Right. What do you ever see yourself doing anything other than a modified?
I've always wanted to know kind of what all the different cars feel like, but I'm really intrigued to maybe one day, and it may never happen, just sit and drive a late model even in practice.
Right.
But for right now, I'm just trying to focus on just getting consistent and finishing is the biggest thing.
I was really hoping to hear you say sprint car.
I know.
Oh, no.
I know. I knew with Gary sitting over there on the left, I knew that was not coming.
I
but
really don't
I was
think he
if you were getting ready to say sprint car, I was getting ready to. We're going to have a party.
I really don't think he would mind as much as Mom sitting over there.
Yeah,
She's the one that won't let me get in there.
So if Tim ever got a sprint car, could we get you in it?
I could make like a hot lap.
See, yeah, there we go. What about you, Gary? I know you're a modified guy through and through, but would you ever consider doing anything else?
Oh, if I could get my legs to bend in there, I'd probably try it.
Sprint car?
Yeah, I wouldn't be scared to try it.
Well, hey, Eddie still have his?
Yeah, it's race ready sitting there.
Dude, we can make this happen.
Man.
We got a thumbs down over there.
Yeah.
Just one night. Come on, Bob. All right. Well, hey,
If you don't like sitting in a chair though for a while,
Yeah, it's different.
I bet
it's a struggle.
odd.
right.
And I got a new car coming, so we don't have time for that.
What kind of cars do you guys actually have?
So we have 2 long shots by Michael Long. He has a Pierce Platinum by Long. Long updates, I guess you should say. And then he's got a Longhorn. I don't know how you want to explain
A
that.
Longhorn that Michael's putting together for me.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that where I seen you took your wife on a romantic dinner? Or
Yeah, we went
Friday
on
night?
a road trip to deliver some new parts.
So when can we expect to see that car out?
Hopefully within the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Oh wow, we're getting close.
Yep.
And then are you gonna sell the other car?
No, I got a problem selling things.
Oh man.
Yeah.
He's always had 2 cars up until last year. So it's kind of odd for me to have a B mod and an A mod and him to only have one car to work with.
So I see on Facebook and everything you're building a shop house. So is that really going to be storage for Gary's extra cars?
My cars will move over there and he'll have extra
As long
garage
as we
space
get
for
hurt
his.
you out of my stuff, I'll be all right.
There you go.
We know that's not gonna happen, Gary. Now come on.
Oh yeah, they're going straight down there.
Ooh
Oh,
man.
he means it too.
Oh wow. All right. So then you're gonna have room for a third race car.
No, we're good. We're content.
We'll see.
Kinley might end up in a kids mod possibly
okay.
next season.
Yeah.
So there is extra garage space. It is meant for his work equipment and vehicles that we have, but we'll see.
We added on to our other shop too. So
We'll see.
I can remember when Gary first started racing, coming over there, and was it a Chevelle you had in the garage?
yep,
Yeah, I remember that. That's long gone though.
it's probably cheaper to have those.
Not nearly as much fun though, is it?
Oh, but it is cheaper. I could have a handful of those versus they're modifieds.
Racing's expensive, but man, all these people that always tell you about you should buy a boat or you should buy all this, they've never had boats and they've never had the other stuff because
expensive.
it's all expensive.
Yeah.
My grandpa likes to say boats is it bust out another 1,000?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Right.
The first time I quit racing, I bought like a camper and boat and stuff, and everybody comes and hangs out with you, and then they leave. And then you pay for everything, you do everything. And I was like, man, racing was a lot cheaper than this.
Yeah.
And a lot less work. I mean,
Racing's only cheaper if you don't tear anything up.
yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's true. So, Haleigh, let's talk about, I know you're part of a TV series, and I honestly don't know a whole lot about it. So tell us about how you got involved in that, what it is, when we can watch it, things like that.
So as far as when you guys can watch it, we're doing they haven't released a whole lot on it. So it's going to be kind of a live streaming deal from what I kind of understand, starting somewhere in the middle of this year. Okay. Now, I don't know the exact timeline of it, but it's a series called Finding the Underdog. Last year, we took an impromptu trip Friday night to Tri-City, and we parked in a spot we normally don't park. You might see us with Joe Patrick and Doug Patrick at the races. They're also a part of the TV series. Doug walked up with this guy, and we really didn't know either of them at the time, and they kind of introduced themselves to us, and they said that they would like me to be a part of their filming that night. At first we thought they were just with like Dirt Vision or somebody that was there that night filming the races. So we signed like a NDA, a whole little sheet of paper, and we took a picture of it to see if we could look up kind of
Right.
who it was because we didn't really know. We just signed the paper. That sounds really bad, but they filmed me that whole night. And then Chris actually called me. It was a New York phone number. I declined the call because I thought it was a spam call.
Right.
And he texted me, "Hey, this is Chris Surrey," and he is actually the producer. He texted me and he said, "I would really like you to be a part of this TV series, this docu-series. If you have a chance, give me a call back." And then it all just unfolded from there.
Yeah. So will this be something on program or on, TV? Will it be on the internet or do we know yet?
I don't quite know. They've reached a deal with, I know, 2 streaming services. But I don't know as far as to say when after they do the streaming where
Right.
it'll be put permanently.
Right. So part of that, is that only in your B-Mod?
It is.
And you have a special wrap for that,
Yes.
which you haven't got done this year, right?
No, just because we haven't started filming and they were still trying to reach a deal with the streaming services.
Oh, okay. So any clue when that'll all start taking place?
We was told the big AMOD show at Peevely.
The
So
Mod's Gone Wild
in June. Yep.
sometime in June.
Yeah. So I assume you're both erasing that then.
Yeah, she'll be wrapped for the B-Mod, and I'll have a wrap for the A-Mod.
And are you a part of that, Gary?
Yes.
Awesome. Who else? Is it just you two and the other 2 guys you mentioned, or?
It is, so Doug is Joe's dad.
Okay.
Joe is the driver. Joe Patrick was who it started with, the TV series. And then Britt Canoyer is a part of it.
Okay.
Dad and I are a part of it. Keaton Lyons is a part of it.
Okay.
Let's see.
Collins.
Joshua Dolans is a part of it. And then I think that's, Josh Carroll's son
Okay.
is a part of it as well.
That's cool that, anytime we can get new eyes to the dirt track world, that's hard to do these days. So
And that's not really a local. I mean, you say this guy's out of New York and everything, so this
He's from New.
this could be like a overnight. All of a sudden, something big happened for you guys.
So he actually is, I could be corrected if I'm wrong. He worked for Universal Studios. He was a main guy in their filming industry with all of that. I don't know the correct technical terms for it, but
right.
he actually opened up his own business venture into the filming world. And he has Think Diffusion, and then he has, I can't remember the other name.
There's a few.
He has a few different businesses, an AI company that actually designed all of our wraps for the
really?
B-Mod Nationals last season. And then he has a couple other businesses, but he has a place in Florida and he has a place in New York. And some of his guys are from all across the country.
Oh, wow.
So it's pretty crazy.
So is that something that will you only run that wrap like for the filming purposes, basically, or will you run that other times as well?
I think you can they air it out and it's public. You can run it whenever you want.
Okay.
Our stipulation for the B-Mod Nationals last year was that we didn't post it on our social media until it hit the track. So once we
Right.
were on our way and there and filming started, it was fine after that.
Okay. I mean, that makes sense. So I feel like, being a female racer, that probably brings more eyes to yourself and the series as well, because, it's just something different.
Yeah.
So I feel like them bringing a female on is good for the series.
I agree.
Does it give added pressure to you?
I would say it does. I think there's, and it goes unsaid, but I think there's just an unsaid amount of pressure
Right.
being the female driver against all of the grown men and all of the guys that have driven for so many years. And then to also be a part of a docuseries or a TV show, it's like now I feel the pressure to
Right.
outdrive these
Right.
people, know?
Yeah. And I know, how are you treated by the male racers? How does, do you ever run into any problems with guys like, I can't let this girl beat me? Or do you never really have that problem?
I don't think she's had that problem yet.
I don't feel like I've had that problem yet, but I do feel like there's been probably a few guys that I've ran against that don't like maybe if I run
Right.
better than them. I can think of one instance at a local track of ours that a guy and I were in the same heat race, and he kind of doored me all the way up the track on the start just because I started outside of him. And I felt like that was kind of maybe for that reason, but it also could have just been how he was in general.
Yeah,
So.
I would fake an injury. Like if I seen you pass me, I'd pull off and be like, man, something happened here with my back. And when they say, what happened? I'd be like, well, she got by me because I was having a spasm
My
or
arm
something.
broke.
Yeah, I seen something like that. But that's part of I have a bunch of the young girls with Sam and all them I got to be, which I was going to ask Gary this too. Do you got to play security guard too in the pits area a little bit?
No.
You and Tim, I mean, she probably can take care of herself. Yeah. The girls I have so many little boys running around in that trailer, and I always am like, let's get out of here, guys. It's time to go. And they all hate my guts half the time, all the little boys. And they're like, why are you running them off? I said, security. I'm running them off, man.
That's fun.
I feel like personally, like, that might be part of why guys don't mess with you, because Gary's kind of intimidating figure.
Yeah.
I know he's a big teddy bear to you, but to most guys, he's a big intimidating figure.
I would honestly challenge what you just said and say that he's a big teddy bear to everybody, but he's probably harder on me than anybody else. I think he would agree.
Oh, yeah, you got to be.
But also in saying that, my mom's probably more of a security guard and watching who comes to the pits than him, just because he knows that I can handle myself and be like, I don't know about you.
Yeah. As far as, back to the, being on camera and stuff, you're probably used to that because you guys do a lot of filming for your Gross family racing on YouTube. And so that probably doesn't bother you, does it? Being on camera?
It's a little different when you got 4 camera guys running around your race car and your butt crack or something's hanging out. And you're like, dang it. That's a little different.
Yeah.
He knows at least with me when I'm videoing, I can edit it out.
Right.
Or notice it real quick. I mean, they'll edit it out too, but it's just different.
You do something real dumb or stupid on theirs, they're going to want that in there because they're going to be like, this is going to get views. Yes. Yeah. His fly's been down the whole time.
His little baby chickens are out.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh, that's funny. So where is your favorite track to run? We're going to get off subject here.
So far, mine's Brownstown, Bullring in Illinois.
What about you, Gary?
Believe it or not, mine's Farmington when the track's right.
Really?
It takes a lot of technique. You can't just go in there and let it all hang out.
Right. And I know how many feature wins have you gotten at Farmington, Gary?
Oh, under 10.
Under 10,
For all, I only won, I went winless last year, and then the year before, I only won a couple of seasons in a row, so it's under 10. I give a few of my trophies away, so I could have to.
He's lost count.
Yeah.
Not that many.
Was it 2023 you was track champion?
Yes.
Yep. That was a good year for you.
Yep, that was my most wins ever, so.
Yep.
I won at Poplar Bluff that year too. So
okay, I was going to ask, did you run anywhere that year outside of Farmington?
Yeah, we ran Poplar Bluff and Tri-City.
And Tri-City a little bit.
I don't know if we went to Peevely or not.
Yeah. Peevely's got to be a different animal.
You can't do the same. You got to really adjust your car for Peevely. Like we're a second off right now on lap times, so we got to make that up.
I see guys that are good at Farmington and go to Peevely and struggle.
Yep.
And then I see guys who are really good at Peevely come to Farmington and struggle. And, I obviously don't know anything about setting a car up, but I know that's got to be a big part of it because
anyone who comes to Farmington says it's a different animal. And even in the sprint cars, when you see those guys come that are top-notch guys, back in the day, they still got beat by Timmy and Joey and all of them. So Farmington just, I think, is always been considered a different animal, and every year it changes.
Right.
Farmington's really fun. Like this is my favorite place to race because it's kind of technical. But once you get used to racing at Farmington and you go somewhere else, you're in a hole for a while.
Well, I would go ahead.
You're like, you got to come out of the hole and do a lot of things different.
You want to go down every back straightaway, just doing a whole turn instead of going straight.
Yeah, you want to try to turn the whole way around. Yeah.
And then instead of when you're going down the front straight every other track, you're not looking downhill.
Yeah, you're going downhill towards the other corner.
Yeah, that is wild.
That track's so tricky, I think, because you have to shut your car down so much in 1 and 2. And then depending on the way the track is, the track condition itself, you can basically run wide open in
Right.
3 and 4. But then if, there's a little bit of character here and there, you got to miss that. And then it's so tight. It's also the other racers that you're around too.
Right. It makes a lot of sense. What about, the dirt difference between like a Farmington and Peevely? How does that compare? How does that take, what do you have to do different for the type of dirt you're on?
Well, like Farmington never gets like as slick as Peevely has been this year. So there's a little more grip in the red clay than there is the Peevely when it's smooth and slick. So like, I don't like restrictors, but some people do. So you can restrict your motor down, or there's various ways of doing it. We just haven't been doing it right yet.
Right. I would, think, Peevely is usually that black dirt's a lot slicker, and like I said, Farmington's usually not slick.
Yeah.
But when Farmington, it's either heavy or it takes rubber. It seems like there's no middle ground. It seems like
Even when it takes rubber, it's just as fast as it is when it's heavy, because you can still use it.
So people restrict the motors down in that?
You can.
Oh, okay. I've never even heard of that actually.
So how do you restrict the motors down?
There's spacer plates you buy for your intake and your carburetor that choke it down to. There's like 10 different brands. There's 3 or 4 different sizes. Like some of them are 50 horse, some of them are 100 horse.
So is that something you can do there at the track?
Yep, you can do it pretty quickly.
I ain't into.
You just take the carburetor off and stick it down.
Yeah.
in there.
Okay.
I'm not into that. If I'm going to pay money to have a hog motor built,
Oh yeah, I feel the
That's
same.
how
I don't
he
want
feels.
none of 'em.
But when I was out there last night, I'm like, maybe I could use just a little bit more. But it might not have helped. I don't know.
I want all 800.
yeah, I want everything I paid for and more. I want some free stuff, free
Wants to blow
horsepower.
the tires off.
What is your guys' favorite track conditions?
I like slick and smooth. I don't do good with tacky or rough at all. That's something I'm trying to work on this year, is getting my car where it'll turn in the beginning of the night, but also where I can be confident enough to put my foot to the pedal.
I like it when it's kind of in between a little bit of heavy and a little bit of smooth. And if you got a hole or two, that's fine too, as long as there's not no big holes that you land in.
Right. Makes a lot of
'Cause
sense.
Sometimes when it's slow and smooth, there ain't no passing.
Right.
So
That's hard to watch as a fan, and it can't be no fun as a driver.
Well, it sucks when you're behind someone, you're better than them, and there's only one place to go, and it's right behind them.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's never no fun.
No, it makes you want to pull off.
What hang on, we're going to cut that out for a second. Hang on. My throat just went like really dry.
Are you ready?
I'm good now.
Okay. So we're gonna get out of the kids mods for Kinley then, or into the kids mods. I'm sorry. Hold on.
Sorry, you're good now.
So speaking of the rough and stuff like that, the go-kart, I would want all my kids out of a go-kart as soon as possible, because every single time I watch those, it makes me hurt.
They just bounce around and they're like a pinball.
Horrible.
And it's such a good class for all the kids, and there's so many of them and everything, but I just wish there was some way to get around that, because that's not going to be good for some of those are so little they can't even hold their head up, and they're beating their head on the sides of the thing. It's like scrambled eggs up in there, and I just it drives me nuts watching them. But
The
then
GoPro footage is even worse.
I
A little
bet.
kid in there. Ugh.
Well, and the other thing too, like when they're under caution, they're trying to get all them kids lined up.
Yeah.
It's like, get the 4-wheeler off there. It's making it worse.
yes,
They all hit each other and
Yep.
then full blast.
Yeah, it's like we can figure something else out,
yeah, it sucks that the next step from the go-kart is like a junior sprint from a younger kid's age, because you can buy a full-blown mini sprint for a freaking junior sprint. Those are so expensive. But how old is do you have to be for kids mod?
I don't really think there's an age limit for a kid's mod.
I think we actually found an age limit, and it was, I think you have to be at least 10. I could be wrong, but I think that's what they found out while we were doing the TV series.
How old is Kinley?
Kinley is 11.
Okay.
Oh, we're ready to rock.
Yeah, that's ready to go. So how did she talk mom and dad into a race car at such a young age when you couldn't?
It was a lot easier than it was for me.
Man.
I think it was because I mean, obviously I was a lot older, so there was a lot more responsibility on me having a bigger car and the maintenance that comes along with that and the tire work and the cost of everything. But she kind of took an interest. It took her a little bit, probably my beginning of third season that I drove. I flipped a car my first season out, and that kind of scared her away. Our cousin, Chase Nash races. So he kind of, I think, leaned her into, I want to do this with him. So she ended up in a cart.
He's had a rough few weeks. I seen his wreck. He T-boned some kid the other night. I mean, full speed. And it looked like it didn't feel very good for him.
Yeah. I remember seeing that at your favorite track.
We ain't talking about that.
What I know, do they? Where all do they run kids mods? Peevely, Doe Run, does Tri-City run them?
I think they try to run them on special occasions a little bit everywhere.
Yeah,
Tri-City runs them a little bit. At least they did last year.
Now I know. Well, if Tri-City ever gets in, will you guys go up there on Friday nights?
If we don't have anything to do, yeah, I like that place. That place is even different than Peevely. Like you can't.
But now you've had some pretty good runs at Tri-City, haven't you?
Yeah, I've had a few and that I'm proud of, and I've had some that I hadn't. That's everywhere, though. You got
right.
I really haven't been doing this as long as people think I have, so sometimes I got to cut myself a little more slack.
Right. You've come a long way for sure since your first night.
Hanging her in the fence.
Were you there?
I was. I was in a concession stand line and I look up and Gary's in the fence. I'm like, oh my gosh. Let's talk about that, Gary.
Well, I mean, there ain't really much to talk about. The track was slick and smooth, and both my brother and Tim said, "Hey, don't go up there. It's all marbles and dust." And I think I sailed it off in there first or second corner and hung it in the fence.
Yeah. It was 1 and 2, so you know how 1 and 2 is. It kind of closes off at Farmington,
right?
And he just went off in there. And Mom and I were in the booths at the time, and I remember Eddie just running straight over there, and we were like, "What did you do?"
Right. That was I remember that well, and I'm like, but hey, he learned from it and.
He got it out of the way.
Guess he hasn't done that again. He hadn't tried to climb the fence anymore.
No, we haven't. We haven't put her in the fence. That's for sure.
Yeah. Did it tear up a lot?
I think we knocked the radiator out of it and a bunch of nose and sheet metal and a couple shocks. We had it fixed before they had the fence fixed.
Did you end up making the feature that night?
I end up actually racing the feature that night.
Yeah, I was thinking you did. I
think the next weekend I wanted to be main.
Yeah.
The A-mods.
Okay.
Ditch the corporate noise and plug into something real. The Barn Media Group and Podcast Network is your one-stop destination for all things independent. We're a locally owned media company with a purpose to amplify voices, champion creativity, and bring you authentic stories in music, sports, lifestyle, and beyond. Want that local flavor? The Parkland Podcast and the Tippy Joe Show offer a variety of local content straight from the Lead Belt community. Whether it's politicians, members of the community, musicians, artists, or local business owners, we're giving a platform to real voices with real stories. From the stage to City Hall, these podcasts bring together a diverse lineup of guests who each have their own stories to tell. And for sports junkies, we go all in with Knuckleball Primetime, Dirty Right Rear Podcast, and Parkland Sports Live, covering professional, college, and high school sports, dirt track racing, and everything in between. Are you a gaming fan? Birds and Swords brings you anything and everything from the world of video games, from the hottest new releases and classic throwbacks to industry news, quirky debates, and deep dives into gaming culture. From headbanging to honky-tonkin', Vulgar Display of Podcast and Midwest Mixtape Podcast delivers the full spectrum of sound. Crank it up for interviews, album reviews, and real conversations with artists from all walks. Join Dawn every Sunday morning for Bible Time at the Barn, a heartfelt journey through scripture, faith, and reflection. This uplifting podcast offers a peaceful space to reconnect and be inspired. For the full lineup, live streams, and latest drops, go to thebarn.media.
Hey guys, this is Jeremy Booyer and Jeremy Sutton here with the Dirty Right Rear podcast. we want to highlight one of our sponsors, supporters, and everything else with Expert Graphics, Powder Coating, and Fabrication. Expert Powder Coating and Fabrication is a family-owned business out of Farmington over in the industrial park. You can go over there and get some graphics, lettering, anything for your race cars. Get some powder coating done for your race cars, any other kind of stuff. Get any kind of fabrication also done with them. You can come over there and talk to Andy Moss. He's in there just plugging away at the computer, designing everything, doing whatever he can. You got Dennis in the back with his lab coat, mixing up the powder coat, really getting the stuff going. And then you got Dan over there just fabricating anything and everything you want. But if you want to hit them up, Expert Powder Coating over in Farmington at the industrial park, you can give them a call, 573-756-7324. Hey guys, this is Jeremy Booyer and Jeremy Sutton of the Dirty Right Rear podcast. We want to shout out to one of our new sponsors, which we've talked about quite a bit lately, but Coles County Speedway, actually the oldest micro track in the United States, opening up in 1956. They're going to be running every Saturday night, outlaw wing, non-wing, A-class wing, restrictor, junior sprint, and mod lights. They'll also have several 2 and 3 day big shows all throughout the season that they're going to have, and is the home of the WFO Micro Series also. And you can check them out at colescountyspeedway.com or on their Facebook page. And their address is 10743 East County Road 900 North, Mattoon, Illinois.
Your first chassis, what was that? Do you remember?
That was a Craft by Long, so I've been pretty dedicated to Michael Long.
Did you ever, I could be totally wrong, did you ever run a Thompson chassis?
No, I never did.
I don't know why. I was thinking you had one of Brent's cars for some reason.
Tim did.
Okay.
Tim and Greg did.
Tim's had everything now.
Yeah.
He's had one of everything, I think. Since I've been kind of following a little more modified stuff and just looking back on a lot of stuff, Tim's had everything.
He changes chassis like
I know.
underwear. Yeah.
And what's bad is, which we didn't really talk about our first show. We was all nervous, so we didn't really talk about anything crazy like that. But he gets really like rolling in with one of them, and we're like, oh man, Tim's coming next year, and he sells it. And gets something different.
He's running really good in his new car right now. So
that's what it seems.
He have top 5 at Peevely last night again.
You got six.
I couldn't remember. It was right around there.
I don't know exactly.
It was close.
6 or 7.
Yeah. I seen they had a pretty star-studded field in modifieds. All the cars in front of him were kind of the who's of modifieds.
That's why we like going to Peevely, because you're only going to get better the more you race up there.
Yeah.
I started 11th in the feature, and
Did you really?
I ended up in the back. But all the guys in front of me, I was like, if I can keep up with them, this would be nice.
Right, but I did see in the results you beat Dad.
Yeah.
Well, I actually.
He had bent parts.
Yeah, I had a racing related part. Yeah,
Was it a spasm? Yeah.
the right lower lumbar.
I did beat him in the heat race. He can't say I didn't beat him in that.
I didn't. I went backwards in the heat race. Yeah.
Well, if you started 11th and they had 30 cars, didn't they? Yeah, that's.
I got 4th in the heat race last night, and then I was running 11th, 12th, somewhere around there, and my car was just too loose for that kind of a track at the beginning of the race.
Right.
Had way too much motor, and I just spun myself out. So it was
happens.
all on me.
It happens. Go back next week and
Like
do better, right?
Redemption.
You guys got any plans? What are some big shows? You guys got any big shows you're going to hit up this year?
We have the Mods Gone Wild. That's a big one that we want to go to.
Quite a few of the Mars races. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's where we was going to go Friday at Brownstown. So
that Mods Going Wild is going to be a big race.
Yeah.
But, I really, I didn't know Josh Carroll. I still don't know him. We've talked to him on here twice, but it seems like he's going to do some great things up there at Peevely.
His 2 tracks are going to be the premier dirt tracks in Missouri and Illinois in the next couple of years.
I think he's doing really good at bringing attention back to the tracks.
For sure.
They used to be the bigger tracks that everybody knew about, and then they kind of, I'm not going to say died off, but you know what I mean. Fan base wise, people started not going, and then I think he's actually attracting more fans. Last night the fans were pretty full.
We wondered how that was, and I think personally bringing in the carnival that he did, that's genius. Get the town coming back out there and just. That's a way of telling them.
It was neat pulling up onto the racetrack and staging and seeing the carnival to the righty and the racetrack to the left. That was very neat.
Yeah, I bet.
See, I still think, like out here at Farmington, we used to hit up every fair race we could because it was so cool. And I know that they've tried it out here, but it's always just a weird deal with admission and all kinds of stuff. But it's so cool when like Belleville used to run a fair race, and you'd be going down the straightaway, and there's the Ferris wheel people are looking at you right there when you're going through the corner, and you're like,
How it was.
man, this is awesome. But
I don't know what you call it, but maybe a slingshot kind of a ride or
was real
something
tall.
like that. It was really tall and it had two ends to it.
Yeah.
And it just brought you up in a circle and spun you around, and you could see it on the track. And I just had to think about, like, if people weren't sick in there, if they could, watch a little bit of racing.
Right. I'd be sick as you know what if
be
I'd
like,
done that. So,
Woo.
did you guys go ride any rides or eat any carnival food?
Kinley and I did at the beginning of the night.
Yeah.
We rode some rides.
Did you have any carnival food?
No.
that's-
Unfortunately, I can't have any, or I would have.
Oh yeah, that's the best part of carnival.
I don't know about eating carnival food before the race.
Well, yeah, that's
made me
it.
sick,
That'd
I
have been
think.
rough.
Yeah.
I'm going to eat some gross stuff. I mean, not gross stuff, but
Yeah, you
well,
probably
Right.
Fried
Yeah.
things.
Yeah, I'm gonna eat-
Such.
might have sold your jeans if you
yeah.
had ate carnival food and tried
Got
to
in your
race.
car, your
Yeah.
belly been
Yeah.
rumbling.
I want a corn dog dipped in chili and then refried again and stuff like
Ooh.
that.
That would have been bad.
What, Gary? What would you consider your biggest win in racing?
Probably anytime I outrun Tim.
Okay.
I don't care if we're running 10th and he's running 12th. That's a win to me. So we just got a little competition. His little brother-in-law and competition going, and right now he's outrunning me. So we got to improve.
I can remember. I'm going to bring up the awkward night when you guys. I don't remember who got into who. I think Tim. Did Tim get into you and spin you out?
Yeah, I was leading my first feature, and it was Farmington's really hard to pass whenever it slows down. And all you got to do is kind of just block and hold your own, and you almost got to rough somebody up to pass them. And Tim was driving hard, and I was using up a lot of the racetrack, and he drove right into the back of me and spun me around, and they actually gave my spot back and put him on the back, but I had too much mangled up parts to keep it up there.
Yeah, I remember that. So how did that make family dinner the next day?
We was fine. As I told him, I said, just don't get mad whenever I retaliate.
I was going to say, you still owe him one.
Oh yeah.
It still gets awkward. It does.
Yeah.
It's kind of awkward, but we all are a close enough family to be like, we're good.
Right. I know we won't get into the details of it, but your 2023 championship the last night, everybody knows what happened. I do have to say the support Gary got that night or that next week gives me chills right now. Just, the dirt community, the local community, people Peevely and even further away defended Gary and come to his side and, had good things to say about him. So that like I said, I have chills talking about it right now. So that was one of the coolest things, and I'll never forget that.
Well, it was neat because everybody knows that there's not nothing I won't do for anybody. So
Right.
and they knew that.
You're not wrong. I mean, I've known Gary since high school, and he's always been that way, and I think he'll always be that way. And it was cool to see you get some paybacks for that, or from that night. I don't know how to say that right, but
I hated that that's where that went, but me and Danny talk now, and all that happened for a reason. So
Right.
I mean,
Lessons were learned
oh yeah, yep.
on everybody's end.
right. Well, that if you guys are friendly, that takes a big man. Which, like I said, that doesn't surprise me with you. I know how you are, but if you're still friendly with him, that makes you a big man.
Oh, people can't. You don't need to hold grudges your whole life. You got to learn to let stuff go. So
Right.
and emotions run high when you race these race cars, and sometimes you make bad decisions, sometimes you make good ones, and sometimes good ones lead to bad and bad ones lead to good. So
Right. So Haleigh, what's your most memorable moment in a race car?
My most memorable moment.
Or whether it be something you did in a heat race, anything. What's the one thing that sticks out to you that that you're like, I can't believe I did that?
probably every time she crashed me.
Wow, I didn't know we
Or
were going to go there.
It might have been Saturday night's heat race.
Yeah.
Well, to be honest with you, about I guess 3 seasons ago, it was my first season in an A-Mod. He had a new car that he hadn't quite worked out the bugs, and I'll give him that. But I did.
That was last year. Farmington.
No, I'm not talking about Farmington. I'm talking about Poplar Bluff. At Poplar Bluff, we were racing one night, and him and I just kept passing each other back and forth. I think we finished first and second in a heat race together. I finished second to him, and then I actually ended up passing him in the feature. So that was pretty cool. That's probably my most memorable moment.
Not many people get to race with their dad or, any family for that matter. And you can race with your dad and your uncle.
Yeah.
And, hopefully, 5-10 years from now, your sister's going to be in there. So you guys will have half the field by yourself because by the time Chase is going to be up there.
Yeah.
So, you guys will have half the modified field out there.
I know it sounds bad, but we honestly don't even really like to race in the same races just because we almost end up tangled up together,
right,
or something happens and it's just too much sometimes. But
it seems like
cool.
when you go places, or mostly like when you go out of town or you go and you have more than one car there or something, you all end up in the same heat race.
Yep.
It always seems like when you take a whole pile of, say, your friends or whoever, say you guys and Tim all go somewhere, it always seems like when we go places, everybody ends up in the same freaking heat race or right next to each other in the feature, and you're all like, this sucks.
I can't tell you how many times we have ended up in the same heat race or right together in the feature, and it's like, wait a minute. We drew completely opposite ends of the spectrum. How did we do this?
And we drove 4 hours to race. And
Yeah, we drove 4 hours to race against the same guys that we raced right in our backyard.
Yeah.
What? Let's talk about a track you've never been to, but you want to go. What's that one track that you want to make it to that you haven't hit?
Do you have one off the top of your head?
I'd like to run Eldora one time.
Oh, yeah.
Gosh, man, now you're talking my jam.
That looks fun, and I think it'd be neat to do. Cross off the bucket list once.
That place is insane, man. We watch a lot of non-wing sprints there, and those guys, you got to be a lunatic
It's fast.
to do that. And we've been up there a handful of times with sprint cars and stuff, and it's insane. But those non-wing guys are really crazy. And actually, the modifieds were there one night, and they're it's
I'll say they have
nothing I want.
They have several modified races a year, so we could make that happen, Gary.
Yeah, we just have to plan out for a long drive up there.
Yeah. What is it, 8 hours, 10 hours?
Of the most boringest ride you'll ever have in your
9
life.
hours.
Yeah.
It's like driving through, I don't even know, nothing. Yeah, there ain't nothing there. I mean, you feel like you're going to like Macon over here. 'Cause when you go there and you get about halfway there, you're like, man, we're in no man's land
There's a
here.
lot of tracks around the country like that. You're like, there's nothing here.
Yeah,
Right.
I think they have to. I think a lot of them do it just so they don't have neighbors and getting everything trying to get shut down, or who knows what. With all the world these days, everything's a complaint and everything's on social media and everything's, one little word, which we're trying to, which you probably can vouch for some of this, like anything you say and do and somebody puts it online. And, because I like to kind of run my mouth about some stuff, but I've noticed a lot, like lately, that if I say one thing, and it's an hour long, say we do an hour long show, but there's 30 seconds of something in there I said that was just like, man, this guy, he kind of sucks. People just blow me up. And you got to just watch what you say with all that stuff. And it kind of just aggravating. The social media has, in my opinion, it's great, because you can pull so much people to so many things, but it's so negative.
It's so
too.
negative.
So
and
negative
bad too, yeah.
And I've tried to, with our tracks that we kind of mess with now, and I've tried to just think of all the positive stuff I can kind of say about it here and there, except for one. But just like last night was a little rough and this and that, but you were there, and you could have chose to not run on it, go there, not go there, do whatever you want. So a lot of it's just, people got to think of it more. Man, so many people. I don't know if you guys seen our Pack the Stands deal we did with these ticket giveaways, which was, well, obviously you did. You guys donated some tickets to it. Never mind. I forgot. Anyway, that thing was freaking awesome. But a lot of the, some of the stuff that people would send us was, we're giving stuff away. We're trying to help. And man,
Some of the messages we got was just
some of the stuff I'm just like, I hope I wasn't like that, but I mean, I might have been a little bit, but not that bad. But
With social media, perspective is truly everything. And whether you're wrong or you're right about something, or you say something you shouldn't have, and it was a lapse of judgment at the time, and it just happened to be posted to whatever platform it was posted to. The viewer sometimes likes to perceive it a certain way that maybe it's not meant or it is meant in the wrong way. So it's just, we've learned that doing social media. I started our social media 5 years ago or so, 6 years ago maybe. And we've had to learn all of that too. Yeah. It's hard to please everybody.
So tell, everybody watching this probably knows your YouTube page and all that, but go ahead and give that a plug. And you've started a podcast. You can tell us about that as well.
So our YouTube and Facebook page is Gross Family Racing. I have another Facebook page called Haleigh Gross Racing.
That you forgot about.
That I forgot about. That was really bad of me, but I was going through my pages that I have. I have so many pages. I also run one of our sponsor social media pages as well. So I've got so many pages that I can choose from on there that I didn't even pay any mind to it. But our podcast that I started is Wide Open and Personal. Then I've got a TikTok. That's more my name, and then things like that. Yeah.
So how, what made you decide to be so open with your racing, your family, what you guys do on your social media?
I chose personally myself, and then I kind of roped them into it to show the aspect of us racing and me racing, because I felt like it would encourage more female drivers or younger females that maybe want to race in the future, because I did start so late, to show them the journey of it all, the good and the bad. Sometimes I'm not very good at showing quite the bad because I don't want it to be perceived wrong, but just showing the journey to it all and letting people be along for the ride.
And you guys have quite the following. You have I don't know if I'm going to say this right, Patreon page as well. Is that how you say that? I do. Yeah. So how's that going? I know that's something I've never dabbed into, but
I don't even know what that is. So is that bad?
No.
It's a private subscriber page. Okay. So you subscribe for extra content.
Okay.
I have a few patrons.
It's like a religious OnlyFans page.
Okay. Yeah. I was going to say I was getting ready to blow out the OnlyFans, and I was like, hey, I'm going to try to keep this one cool.
Yeah.
Every time I get all crazy.
People actually do their OnlyFans on Patreon. But, really? I mean, we're like not on that side.
See, I would we need a Dirty Right Rear.
You guys could post some really good content.
If it gets hot in here in the summer,
right?
I'm going shirtless.
Oh, God. Now there was at the Chili Bowl
Speedo.
God. I'll do anything to get the views. We're doing. It's way off our subject to you guys, but we might as well talk about it now. I'm doing a recap of all our local stuff and it's awesome. Well, first week I did it with the gold chain, and everybody's like, "Oh, that's funny," whatever. And then they asked the whole behind the scenes about it, and I just said, "Oh, everybody keeps saying how we're making millions off this, and we've made $1.27 so far, or whatever."
People don't realize what YouTube and all that pays, do they?
Yeah, well, we don't even do the YouTube, so it don't matter. But then, I was like, I need to start doing something stupid, on there. So last week, I had this Halloween outfit I was going to wear of my dad mowing grass. And it was New Balances and these shorts that were awful.
Cut off shorts.
And dude, by the next day, I woke up and there was 3,000 views on it. And our other ones got 800. So then now I've got the next 3 weeks of outfits lined up for it. And I'm like, this is going to be good.
He was going to look like he was part of the Corvette Club. Then.
Oh, yeah. And I wish my shirt, it said, I don't even remember. It said first, and then it had a mowing guy. And then it said after, and it had a guy grilling on the bottom of it.
I couldn't tell what it said.
I know, nobody could. And I was like, man, I even had that special made on Amazon for $8. I know.
Yeah. I know. I commented 1980s called. They want their something. I don't remember what I said. Their shoes back or something.
Everybody's like, that's so stupid. And I was like, it was funny, man. If you don't like it, then whatever. Get out of here.
That's what made you click on the video. So got you anyways.
And I had a brand new pair of New Balances, and I was half tempted to go outside, and I was going to drag them through the grass real quick.
Get the green.
Yeah. And then I was like, man, I put them on, and I was like, this is the most comfortable pair of shoes I've ever worn in my life.
Now you know why they wear them.
Yeah,
right?
And then my girlfriend said, are you going to wear those all the time? And I said, I mean, I would. And she goes, well, we're not. And
we're going to paint them or something.
I said, oh, okay. I said, but man, no wonder my dad has 4 pair of these, one for grilling, one for mowing, one for going out. I said, it is just like the commercial. It's like walking on air. It's pretty good stuff.
You should do a mock commercial. It would get you a lot of views.
Oh yeah, I want to do some stuff, but then he shuts me down all the time.
That's just more you. I'm too boring for that.
He don't want to do none of it. I'll send it to him, and he'll be like, "Yeah, that's dumb." And I'm like, "That means it's awesome." If you think it's dumb, that means this is awesome.
First time he sent me his chain, I'm like, yeah.
That's stupid.
Straight thug.
Yeah, he's like, "That's dumb. What are you doing that for?" And now everybody wants them, and I'm like, "We're getting chains for everybody." And I'm gonna tell everybody, Sutton wants no part of this chain deal. This is Jeremy's, the real Jeremy's chain deal.
When we go do the video, she's more of the planner of doing it and this and that. And I'm the one that's you hardly really never know what I'm gonna say.
We have that here. He usually has a notebook, and then he's like, "Hey, did you take notes?" And I was like,
Yeah, okay.
Yep,
No, we're gonna wing it, I guess, man. And he's like, "Okay."
Well, I guess this kind of goes about to our conversation we were just having. I've had some ideas like for TikToks and things that would get us a whole lot of views, and people would be really into watching it. But then Mom is like, "Wait, what if they take it this way?
Yep.
What if somebody views it this way?" And I'm like, I didn't even think about that.
Right.
Probably shouldn't do that now.
There's too many weirdos.
And the way the world is, people would do that.
With
Well,
being a girl.
It's hard being a female racer because, and I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but there's quite a few that use themselves as the bait to their racing. And
Right.
I've never wanted to be that girl. I've wanted to be the one that races really well and is a female that you're like, oh, wow. Okay.
Well, one thing people know about you from watching your videos, you work on your car as much as anybody. You know, I mean, not everyone, but, you know, all the time there's pictures of you laying under the car or grinding tires, changing tires, you know, changing shocks. And, you know, not all females are like that.
Well, and a lot of those females, they're doing it for, I mean, you could do it for a living in a day if you really wanted to.
You really could. You just wear some tight shorts and
right. A lot of those
low-cut T-shirt.
A lot of those girls, they know what they're doing. You know, they're like, just grinding my tire.
Yeah.
My sleeve fell off, you know. Whoa. You know. Oh, man. This
You know,
I didn't even know I had these booty shorts on.
Even in high school, I was a volleyball player. I played softball. I was never that girl that wore the tight. I didn't want all eyes on me, I guess I should say.
Or they'd be like, "Oh my God, it must have been cold."
Yeah.
Had no idea.
Oh, I forgot I didn't wear a bra today.
Yeah.
This sucks.
you know, it's funny. We have this conversation, and what was it, 2 months ago when we went to Kenny Wallace's shop?
Yeah, he told us,
Yes.
you guys got to get girls on there. You guys are just not going to make it.
He's
And I'm
like-
we're not trying to make it. He goes, I had Haleigh Deegan on there and my life changed like that. I said, well, we can't really call Haleigh Deegan, you know? So that's.
He told us.
You have the next.
Yeah, there we go.
He told us, you know, he's like, I can do an interview with Haleigh Deegan and put one little thumbnail up there and get 500 views. And I can interview the winner of Daytona 500 and get 20,000 views.
Yeah.
Well, see, and I think though she's also really respectable. So that kind of surprises me because she's not out there. I mean, she works out and she posts things
Right.
like that. But I do follow her, and she doesn't post anything like raunchy. That I'm
Right.
like, I don't want to see that.
Right.
I'm good.
She
She's respectful.
She does post a lot of that, but I think in like her newer stuff she's doing now, because she does do a lot of micro racing, so I follow her, but like her workout stuff, there's little bits and pieces in there that you're like, yeah, she's squatting today for 2 hours. Nobody squats for 2 hours.
I tell you what, at 2:00 tomorrow morning when I wake up, I'll have booty shorts on and,
Yeah.
and a cut up T-shirt just for you, Jeremy.
Yes,
Put a wife beater on and cut it.
See, if I was a girl on Sundays, when in the middle of the summer when everything was going, I get my car out and wash it, I would accidentally fall down, and I'd be wearing like a white T-shirt, and I'd be like, "Oh, the hose got me, man!" And then it'd just be spraying me.
Look
I'd
at
be
all
like,
this pressure. Yeah.
Yeah, it'd just be bad. I would be,
God.
I would be labeled
Extra Sophie.
that raunchy person. But then I would have,
Too. That fits your personality.
I would have all.
It definitely does.
I would have all kinds of views, and then when they say, "Man, you're so gross," I'd be like, "Oh, I know, man. Look at all this money in my pocket."
Yeah.
Yeah. I ain't got a bra on today, but I got a pile full of money. Can't put it up here because, look at this. Oh, I spilt my drink.
I paid for my house in a week. How about
Yeah,
you?
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be the one thing I would have trouble with being a girl racer.
I can see that.
It would be bad. I would have. This is a good idea, though, and
You and I have two personalities.
This just came great. You ought to get a driving suit.
Oh, gosh.
And you know how you've seen the guys that have the overalls and all that? You ought to get a bikini driving suit. Not a real bikini, but you know the driving suit
with the bikini on.
It has a bikini on the outside.
I just might just to get views because I can't actually
Because
post
they wouldn't
myself
see
in
it.
a bikini.
Yeah, they wouldn't see it, but then
Yeah, but if she's gonna do something like that, she's got to do it funny with like a hair happy trail.
yeah. Oh yeah.
I can't do that though because then it's
Like on the left side, have
hey,
a tattoo says "Dad."
If we're gonna do this, we got to get Gary's face on the driver's suit somehow.
Oh, God. Not when you're wearing a bikini.
Oh, no,
that'd be creepy.
That makes it better.
Yeah, there's something weird going on there, boys.
people might label us as like incest.
That would be bad. But
yeah,
if you
all right.
did if you did a bikini driving suit that was, and it was kind of tight or whatever, just on the clip, you know, when some dudes will be going through there and it just showed a clip, they wouldn't be able to tell. So you know they're gonna hit. There's 500,000 dudes that are going. Do you see that click?
Listen, you're going to say
over.
this, and Turbo's going to be the next one to have the fire suit.
Yeah, that could happen.
I mean, I wouldn't put it past him.
I mean, I think he's got a jailhouse one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's
He
got
has
some good ones.
Minion one, I think now.
Yeah,
He's got some funny ones.
he's a character. I've never talked to him, but he seems.
Man,
he's a good guy.
Yeah.
Man, I would be retired right now if I was a girl.
So, back, you guys aren't into the midget game, but at the Chili Bowl this year, there was actually a stripper who advertised her OnlyFans page all the way down the side of the car.
That was Tulsa Shootout.
Was it Tulsa? I thought it was.
No, that was a micro. That
Was
was
she
okay.
a part of Frisky Motorsports?
I don't know.
LeMaster? I think it's LeMaster. Yeah, she was there too with the dude. And man,
I saw some videos of I guess in between races of them doing some contests that I was like, I didn't know that happened at the Chili Bowl.
oh
Yep.
God, the Chili Bowls. Poof.
Chili Bowl's rough.
It's
I saw that.
it's
I
100.
saw some TikTok videos I didn't want to see.
After hours Chili Bowl is
My wife just wrote that down on a piece of paper. Where one place I'm not going.
Yeah.
it's peak.
Never allowed, she said.
You have to
Chili
search
Bowl.
pretty well, not pretty hard, but most of it's pretty clean.
So we're going to the Chili Bowl this year. I go a bunch, but this year I kind of tamed it down with cold driving it. But you can get in. I tell everybody that goes there, you can get in as much trouble as you want to get into, and if you don't want to get in trouble, you don't have to. But they have those guys doing the after hours videos, and they don't show what's really going on there.
That's where they have the chili competitions, ain't it, Jeremy?
It's rough. It's rough.
Did you go to any of those this past year?
I didn't do nothing. We went down there. We took it serious. Cole was in that midget, dude. That was a huge deal. And we were like, I said, I'll do whatever you want to do. If you want to stay out till 2 a.m, we'll stay out till 2 a.m. If you want to be back in bed by 10, let's do it. So we kind of did that. But everybody was kind of sick too. So it kind of.
Yeah.
But
I'm too old for that
Would be
stuff.
fun.
Yeah. It's
you'll drive a midget?
I actually would like to.
Would Mom-
I would like to sit in one.
would Mom allow that?
I don't think she would care about that as much as a sprint car.
What? Midgets are so much dangerous, I think.
Why don't we start with a non-wing micro? We can make that happen.
Well,
Can we?
You're sitting next to a guy that owns a micro.
I mean, if you want to drive one, I guarantee you we can at least
Listen,
get
we might just have to make a whole thing out of this.
Right? That would be fun.
But if we do that, you got to get the driving suit, so then I can put it on my video too,
That
where
way
I
we
can get some of
Well,
these
dang,
views.
There's like a
All right, we better just stick to the modified game.
No,
yeah.
heck no, I think the micro would be cool.
I think it'd be neat to see her drive. I don't know. I've always been one. I enjoy watching the female racers. You don't see many of them, and I enjoy watching them. I don't know. I think it brings some excitement. And
You're just saying, never mind. Your wife watches all this.
yeah, no, it's fine.
I enjoy watching the female racers.
Yeah, no,
Race?
not like that.
Jeremy, did you have that channel when we was younger that was real staticky that you couldn't bring into your TV?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
Didn't we say that we were gonna?
This went south quick, and this wasn't me either. I didn't.
No,
start
this is all you.
Bull. I just joined in because everybody started talking about it. Gary brought up OnlyFans, and I was getting ready to say that, and
It's your
I
fault.
blocked it.
Oh yeah.
Everything's always my
Blocked
fault.
it out, and then I was like, "Hey, he brought it up. It's open now."
All right, I'll go ahead and change the subject.
I know you're going to because
Yep.
we got to get to like stats or something weird.
No, hey.
I don't have good stats, so please don't look at my.
No. So one thing I like to ask everybody is the dirty right rear question. What's the dirtiest? We'll start with you, Haleigh. What's the dirtiest right rear everyone's anyone's ever thrown on you, and one you've thrown on somebody. It doesn't have to be a right rear, but the dirtiest move or dirtiest slide job anyone's ever given you, and you've given back.
I've never really retaliated on anybody. I can't think of it. Can you think of a time where I've?
The only time I think you did was in Springfield last year, when that guy slid up in front of you and you knocked it.
No, I didn't even know he was coming. That doesn't count because there was a guy at Springfield that I was running the high side.
I remember seeing the video.
And there was a guy in between us, right where I couldn't see, and there was two white cars. I don't remember which one it was, but they were on the very bottom, barely making it past, and they slid all the way up the track. And I just ended up in his rear end. Like, it knocked the stub out of my carburetor, everything.
Oh, wow.
So I didn't even see him. As far as like intentionally ever given somebody a dirty right rear, I don't think I ever have. I mean, I've like leaned on somebody a little bit like, hey, I'm here. But probably the dirtiest right rear that I've ever gotten was, I remember at Farmington, there was an out of town guy that came to race there, and it was my first year, I think, in an A-mod as well. And we were racing beside each other, and he just, at Farmington, you can't run somebody up into the wall, but every corner coming off and going in, he ran me all the way into the wall, and Dad had to go down there and be like, hey, that's my daughter in there. Like,
yeah.
So.
Now, if I remember, was your dad in that heat race?
No.
I think he was in the one before.
Was it? Okay. All right.
Yeah.
What about you, Gary? What's your dirtiest right rear stories?
I really don't have any like dirty right rear, real bad stories. Like I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing too bad.
Other than Tim, we can count Tim as taking you out, but
that's just
even it wasn't intentional.
That's just family competition.
Right. Yeah.
What's good for the goose is good for the gander on that one.
Right. Right. That's just something, that I've started asking a lot of our guests. Not everybody, but just something.
Asked everybody. That's your go-to.
It's sometimes, there's a few I haven't
It's
asked.
the name of your podcast. You got to ask.
When we started this,
question.
when we started this, you said, "Hey, I'm going to do this." And I was like, "Cool. I don't know what I'm going to do."
You're going to talk about bikinis.
Yeah. Well, this is the first time all that's come up. I haven't talked anything weird like that. I don't think.
I think this was the first.
Yeah, I didn't. I'd be retired.
But usually we have guys on, so it's kind of harder to talk about that.
Yeah, but I mean, most of the time the guys want to talk about that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong.
They'd like to talk about Trophy Girl.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, most of them come in here and they're like, "Hey, we can't talk about anything bad."
Right.
My wife will hear this.
That's true,
Mine
fellas.
mine knows me
attention.
better than that. So
There's a difference between talking about it and then like walking down the pit aisle with two chicks on your arms or something,
What? So I know you have a podcast. You've done what, 4 or 5 episodes?
I believe I've done 7.
7. Okay.
I could be wrong on the number, but I've done 7.
How are you enjoying that?
I really like it. I like to talk, so I don't mind obviously being in front of the camera, especially if I can edit it.
Right.
And then I'm the one controlling the questions and kind of letting the guests speak. I really like learning about other people, but also sharing it.
Right. I know it was kind of funny. We started this podcast, got the idea, and you had actually ordered your equipment like it was coming in that week. Because I remember.
Well, you made a post, and I saw your post, and I was like, no way. I just ordered today my stuff.
Yeah. I know that was wild. And I remember you was like, message me or something about that. And I messaged and you're like, I just ordered everything today and I'm like, hey, that's all good.
And the bad thing is we kicked it around we didn't kick it around. These guys did. And then Sutton's like, you want to do this? I'm like, no way. I don't know anything about any of that.
And that's what's good that you'd ask us to be on it too, because everybody needs to support everybody, even if they're.
Oh yeah, 100%. Well, I mean, I've listened to most all. Well, I haven't listened to has the second part of the Treb come out?
Yes.
Okay, I haven't listened to that
on
one
YouTube.
Yet. I got a long drive to work, so I get to listen to a lot of. And I was until this, I couldn't tell you a podcast. Now I do listen to like Rogan stuff every once in a while, just because it gets weird. And then there's another one that's weird too. But, well, I do like his stuff too. But he's
out there.
He's got.
I can't watch a full podcast of his.
He's got some mental stuff going on up there. I don't know how I think of some pretty weird and cool stuff, but man, he's top of the line.
Everybody would be a lot better off, in the world if we'd all help each other and support what one another does. And I'm the type of person. You can ask my wife this. You can call me and I'll tell you how to fix your basement if you don't want to pay me to do it. I mean, I'm not scared to tell you. I don't care. I'll go fix the next person's.
Because they've got to figure out how to exactly do it themselves after
right.
that, you know.
Like, why'd you just tell them all that? Because they asked me, and they're not going to have me do it, so I might as well help them out.
You know, I think Gary might be one of the first business owners we've had on here that doesn't have a trucking company.
Don't have a trucking company.
Seems like every business owner we've had on here owns a truck.
Well, they're millionaires, though.
Yeah, I'm not a millionaire. So, yeah.
You want to give your business a plug, Gary?
It's called Gross Waterproofing and More. We fix leaky basements and pour about any kind of concrete you need. So
I know you've been in business shooting not long out of high school,
2004.
right? Yeah.
It was right after I was born.
Yeah, I remember, I graduated in 99, and I remember it wasn't long after driving down the road and seeing Gross Waterproof. I'm like, hey, I know that guy.
It took a long time to get it going, but when I made it through the first 2007 to 2010 when we had that economy crash,
Yeah.
I knew once I could make it through that, everything else would be fine.
And I did see that somebody had tagged you in a post this week looking for concrete work, and you said, basically, I said, we're booked for months, right?
Since 2017, I've been doing all Weidman pools as concrete, so that's filled in a whole lot of gaps that I've had. Yeah. And Rodney's great people, and anybody needs any fiberglass pools, that's who I'd call. Cause
that's awesome.
We do probably anywhere from 30 to 45 to 50 plus a year, depending on the year. And
oh wow,
when COVID hit, we really started knocking them out.
Yeah.
Everybody was stuck at home. They needed a pool.
Yep. That COVID was good for pools and camping. Everybody started camping.
Yeah,
too.
They did. I mean, there was, you couldn't even get a haircut nowhere, but you could get a pool installed.
Right.
It was good for gardening too. It kept people at home. It kept people doing. I think it was a scam, so that people would get back to the old days a little bit. Maybe grow your own stuff.
It was
food.
That was the weirdest thing. Everybody was scared of everybody, but
right
when your concrete guy showed up to put your pool in, nobody was scared of anything. That didn't matter. That was how it really was.
Right. One thing we always forget to do is let our guests thank their sponsors. So you guys want to thank your sponsors?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Huge shout out to Weidman Pools, not only them, but Gross Waterproofing and More. We recently have, within the last 2 seasons, T&T & Co. Moving Services has come on board with us. They're great if you need any local moving, business moving, house moving, even within your house, furniture's moved. They're great. They're in the Farmington area, but also around St. Louis and southern Missouri, Arkansas, that area. I'm trying to think. Ragsdale Asphalt Paving, Gent Insurance Group,
CTI Transportation,
Noonan Industries, 357 World of Dirt. We have quite a few. 357s. I already said that.
Sargent, Domino's. All them guys, we couldn't do it without them.
Yeah, I know it's hard to think of everybody off the top of your head like that. And
PPM, PEM. I mean, there's quite a bit.
There's quite a. We're blessed. We have quite a few sponsors. Right. Social media has really got us out there, and we're able to promote some sponsors, and that's why we've gotten some of the sponsorships we have. So we're very thankful.
Right. I know. You guys, everybody. You can't do it without sponsors, and it's an expensive ball game every night, especially running 2 cars. Time you're putting fuel in the cars, tires on the cars. It's got to be expensive every night.
Well, I told Amanda this the other day. I said, taking 2 modifieds to the racetrack, we're talking $150 at least a night in fuel per car.
Right.
$100 a night there and back, diesel fuel in your truck, depending on where you go, your pit passes. If you don't tear anything up, you're a $500 to $700 night.
Wow.
For 2 cars, yeah.
For 2 cars, if you don't tear anything up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's wild. And I know that's the same thing in every class, and none of it's getting cheaper, unfortunately.
No.
Hopefully it does soon.
we just like to load it up the way we unloaded it. I mean, I don't care if we win or as long as we obviously want to run good and competitive, and
right.
I don't care if she outruns me or I outrun her, and we just want to load it up as we unloaded it. And you're not always going to run good. That's just the nature of the beast, and you just got to make sure next time you do better.
I know, Gary, you put a lot of time in the shop weekly. You ever figured out how many hours a week you put in?
I've already been at it today.
Have you really?
Oh, yeah.
A lot.
Yeah, I struggled bad last night. We're going to find it.
I like to keep Sundays for the most part, maybe wash day, but don't touch the race car other than that. He likes to take his whole car apart and get most of the maintenance done. That way he can figure out the adjustments to make throughout the week and get the car ready by Tuesday.
But then he's still out there every night and every morning, right?
I would say if you take the time I put in the morning and the evenings, an average of 5 hours a day probably.
He spends a lot of time out there. He wakes up before I do, around probably sometimes 3:30.
There's been times
4.
I've been out there at 2 a.m.
And he ends up out there working on his cars, and it's done.
So like
today,
what do you actually look for?
Well, I already found why my car wasn't working right, so I just got to fix it.
Oh, okay.
I had some couple messed up pieces that I did something wrong putting it together on the left rear, so it chewed up a bunch of parts I got to replace. So
we hear all the modified guys always talking about, I'm looking for the more speed or this or that or whatever, and I'm thinking, man, we just block the sprint cars and micros, and if you mess them up or you go slow, it's because you put too many turns in it or something. But then all the modified guys, they're looking for something, and I'm thinking, well, I mean, do they just sit back and go, there it is, I see it?
There's a lot of adjustments to make.
And then we've talked about that a million times, that we gotta kind of understand a little more of it, because we're sounding a little dumb on some of it.
I don't understand a lot of it still, and I've been racing for enough time now. I think this year it's starting to click a little more because I'm out there in the shop with him more. I'm able to spend more time out there in the shop with him, but there's a lot to it. There's a lot of, they say the common belief is that dirt track racers are quote unquote dumb, but there's no way to be a dirt track racer and be dumb. So
no, it, especially a modified, all the math and geometry stuff that you guys gotta figure out is a way above me.
Well, I don't write nothing down hardly at all. I remember all the load numbers, the center to centers for 3 cars, and I can remember all that stuff too. So.
And I can't do that. I'm like, can you please write it down for me?
And that's probably, goes back to, Gary, when I was in school, and, neither one of us was very smart, but you're very race car smart. You're obviously smart in business. And, how many times did you hear growing up that you would never amount to anything?
Oh, I probably more times than you can count on your hands and toes.
Right. And I don't mean that, disrespectful. It's just because you're not smart in school doesn't mean you're not smart in life, and, and other things.
But back in the day when, we were all growing up or whatever, I don't know how old you guys are, but, if you didn't go to college, everybody kind of thought you were stupid.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, am I stupid now?
Right.
You guys got all these huge debt, and we all, we're doing kind of
figured it out.
Construction stuff, right. But we made it happen.
Right.
He's always been good at math. Like the way he can calculate things in his head, I'm like, whoa.
One of my favorite things to do is pay the drive-through people with change. Oh, God. And then sit back and watch the show.
I'll tell you, one of my favorite things to do is go to the gas station and buy a soda and give them a 20 and say, I want the rest in gas. And they'll try to get their calculators out, and, it's $1.65. I'm like, hey, it's $18.35. And I go, how'd you do that?
Really?
Like, that's the only thing I'm good at is quick math.
I think we was at Wendy's. Was it Wendy's the other day? And I forget what the total was. Oh, and I wanted a certain amount back. And the lady looked at me, got her phone out, looked at the register, and then called over her boss. And they both had their phones out. And finally, I had to tell them what it was. They couldn't figure it out. That intrigues me quite a bit.
Yeah.
To see how people, it's because of their phone, their phones,
having quick access to a calculator has made people not be able to think on top of their head.
Right. My daughter's 3rd grade, and some of the math homework she's bringing home, I'm like, my gosh, like, it's tough. But,
they make it's harder now when you're younger because it's easier to cheat.
Right.
Back in the day, we wrote stuff on our arms, all this. Now you can.
Or you looked at the person next to you.
Yeah. Now they got watches and this and that, and
everything's done on a computer now too.
Or you can be like, Hey Google, what's 2 + 2?
I can remember, cheating off someone next to me in class going, I better miss a couple of these because I know I'm not this smart.
Mostly on that green Scantron or whatever the heck those things where you fill in the bubbles.
Yeah.
Because if you got your vision a little messed up when you were staring at the guy next to you, you'd go from either getting a 20
68
or a 90. And you're like,
if you
I missed one of them. I missed one. And that was awful because I cheated my way through high school.
Oh, I
At
did
least you
too.
admit it.
Because I got out of school and I started apprenticeship in electrical, and they were like, okay, we're going to do trig and this and that. And they're like, oh, you already had it in high school. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I did, but Richard next to me, he had it really good because that's what I wrote down.
Right.
I needed to bring him in to my apprenticeship, but yeah, it's too easy too easy to cheat now. So these kids got it made, and I think you can just say I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
And you're good, or you can say, hey, my teacher sucks, and then they'll be like, oh, yep, she does. Go to 3rd grade.
Well, they have like makeup dates now. So if you miss an assignment, whereas when I was in school, it wasn't like this. When I missed an assignment, and I got a 0 for it. So that shows you how quickly it's changed
Right.
within the last couple of years since I've been out of school. I don't know if it's necessarily Kinley's grade, but they have makeup dates throughout the year where like a month later they can make up assignments from December.
Wow.
It's like, wait.
It was like back in the day when you'd miss something or you'd miss one question from passing, the teacher would be like, gotcha. And now they're like, hey, I'm going to give that to you so your mom don't call, something like that. But I think that teachers are like one of the most underpaid things in the world, what they have
I
to
couldn't
deal with.
teach a classroom.
Not anymore.
Me and Amanda was talking the other day, picking Kinley up from school. I said, I wonder if they, if it was necessary, would even be allowed to paddle a kid anymore.
Oh, God, you'd be in prison.
No.
So
You'd be in prison.
my wife is a teacher at Richwoods, small little school. You've heard of Richwoods. They have 2 kids their entire school they can paddle. They have to send home a permission slip every year, and that has to be signed that if your child does something, if you can paddle them, and 2 parents said yes.
Do they? But they probably like paddle with sticks.
I'm sure they don't even paddle on them, but,
It's
That's
sad.
Richwoods. That's still outlaw school out there.
yeah.
It's
You can do
sad
anything.
when you can't paddle a kid that's misbehaving, but the kid can be a cat or a dog.
Yeah. Well, we don't want to get into that. 'cause
I know
that
it
makes
it's
me go.
terrible times.
That's
I got a few of those in school.
paddlings, or you were a cat or a dog?
Do what?
Paddling, or you were a cat or a dog?
Oh no, paddlings.
I could see you doing the Furby thing or furry or whatever.
No,
Having a tail.
no.
I got the paddle wore out on me.
Yeah, I had it a few times,
did.
but here's my thing: all those kids that are doing that furry thing, man, this is getting freaking even worse now. But back in the day when I'd go to the bathroom at the school, and mostly if it was 2, I made sure that door was locked. Well, who wants to go in there in a box? And all the kids walk in, and you're like, "Hey, hold on," and then you shuffle the sand over. How would you do that? I mean, because that's what they're doing, aren't they? Pooping in boxes and stuff.
I don't know what they do. I really
That's
don't
what I
know.
heard.
Somewhere they are.
I was embarrassed when somebody accidentally opened the door and you'd be like, oh, crap. But what do you think if they're sitting there shoveling their
well,
sand
I'm
back
sure they
over?
got to give them privacy.
I mean,
There has to be some sort of rule.
I don't think so because I got a cat and he poops out in the open.
Yeah, he don't care.
He don't care. I mean, and that's the way you should be. They should be treated like that.
Oh my.
Oh, goodness.
All right. Well, are we ready to call this a podcast? Or are we ready to sit here and talk
Yeah,
some more
that's-
animals? And
That's good.
I had a wasp that almost got me. a minute ago.
I got him with the Subway nachos.
all right, guys. So thank you for coming on episode 20 of the Dirty Right Rear podcast. And sure, we'll see you around, and good luck this year and all that good stuff.
Thank you
Thanks for
Thank
coming
you.
on.
having us.
Thank you.